What's up guys, welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today we're shooting part 2, episode 3 of our tank tours series here in Surrey in Banstead with my friend John. So today we're actually going to be looking at his fry setup and his office, even though I'm not sure how he gets any work done. So stay tuned to find out more. Hey Fanatics family, welcome back. Remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can keep up to date with our future uploads. As I said, today we are in John's little fish room. He's got many different tanks set up and he's going to be giving us a little walk around tour of his fry and how he breeds his fish and also what he selects for in his fish. So we're going to bring him on camera once again and ask him a few questions. So John, first up, hopefully you can tell us a little bit about your setup and the way you run these tanks.
It's a really Heath Robinson setup. I've bodged it together as I've gone along in the last year or so. The tanks that are across this section are where I raise the fry normally, although in the end tank at the moment I have a new arrival that's in quarantine. But I would start the eggs, the spawning off in the first tank, and then as the spawnings grow I move them through until they come into the bigger tanks and go for their growth. Later in the year, when all my main fish come in from indoors, they go into the outdoor pond, then these fish will go into the main tank indoors to get some growth.
I noticed that you run quite a lot of sponge filters and it looks like it's the main style of filtration you use for your fry. Maybe you can give us a little bit of information about that?
Now, when the fry are very small, you can't use any form of mechanical filtration. You'll lose too many of the fry trapped into the filter. A sponge filter is much more gentle and it just keeps the water circulating. It also means that you do have to do lots of water changes to get some growth behind the fish. As an example, there's a mixture in this tank that are from the end of January and a couple of them are from March spawnings, and that's the sort of growth that there's been.
So I know fry are very, very small, so what do you actually feed these and how do you get them to progress so quickly?
When they are first hatched, obviously you start them off as quickly as possible on some good protein, and there's nothing better than brine shrimp. So here I have 2 canisters that are inside the tank, so they stay at the right temperature, full air stone, and then I put the brine shrimp into there and I can siphon out what I need as I need it. And then once they've been through the brine shrimp stage, I then moved on to chopped bloodworm, a little bit of dry food, and I make up my own mix for that, which is a mixture of various foods that I feed to my adult fish, just gone through a grinder to give a quite a coarse feed. So that would be when they're slightly larger, but I also have a very fine one for the smaller fish.
I can see that you've got lots and lots of fish in here, all different ones, ranchu and aranda. So how do you select your fish, maybe when they are very small or as they grow? What are you looking for in the different like finnage and coloration and pattern?
Obviously it depends on the breed. Normally I would be selecting any obvious defects as early as possible, because they will never grow, they'll be stunted, or they will have big deformities. A lot of these fish, or in fact all of these fish, are from parents I haven't bred before. So I've kept more on the go than I would normally, so I can understand the traits of that bloodline and whether it's worth pursuing in the future.
Hopefully you can tell us a little bit more about your selection process, the different stages the fry go through. What are you looking for, maybe split tails, and what do you look for first in your fry and how would you go about selecting them?
I think the first thing to look at when selecting fry is actually, as I said, the deformities. So they're very easy to see, whether they've got a bent back, if it's ranchu, if they've got a dorsal fin, if you can see that the tails are stunted. They're all the obvious features. As the fish grow, then it becomes easier to pick out faults that you're not looking for that particular breed. A number of these ranchu do have joined tails, I've noticed, but I want to keep them because I want to see how the overall body shape develops. I'm not quite so fussy with the ranchu with a split tail, but in the Randa it's a definite must.
Thank you, John, for coming on camera and giving us a little bit of information about the fry. I'm just going to take you on a small little tour around the shed, and then we're going to get some fry in one of John's bowls, and we can have a little close-up, just like in the previous episode where we looked at some of the larger fish in a viewing tank. We're going to do that with the fry and maybe pick out some nice ones and see what positive and also what negative traits they have, so maybe you guys can apply it to any future breedings you do yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to take you around the shed and get some close-ups. So as John mentioned in the video, these are his tanks where his initial fry will go when they're very, very small, and they'll work their way up. We've got a ranchu and an oranda, I believe, that are being quarantined in here. And as we pan round over here, you can see the female and my male, but he's gone AWOL. He's down in the corner there, and they will hopefully be spawning, and hopefully we'll get some fry out of those. And then here you can see another batch of ranchu fry that are coming on quite nicely. How old are these ones, John?
They're about 6 weeks now.
6 weeks, and I'd say they're about 2 centimetres. Some slightly larger. And then finally we've got, I'd say, his main tank with some oranda and some ranchu. Did you say these were about 3 months old?
Yeah,
these
some
ones?
a bit less. The orandas are the bonnet oranda that we showed in the first video. So the one that was black with the red cap, that's her babies.
So now we're going to take some of these fry out, we're going to bowl them up, and we're going to have a little in-depth look at them. First up, we've got 5 lovely orandas from John's spawning. Hopefully he'll give us a little bit of detail about these, maybe some positive and negative features about them, and why he chose to pick out these in particular.
This is a new breed for me. I've not bred the Thai orandas previously, so really don't know what to expect. So I've kept more than I would normally. All of these have nice split tails. The body shapes seem to be developing, but it's also been interesting how slow they seem to be in changing colour. So we'll just have to wait and see. But if I turn this fella and you have a look, you get a better idea of the body shape. Nice deep body, which is fairly typical of a Thai oranda. Going to be interesting to see how the patterns and the colorations develop. The female was the black with the red cap, and the male was a tricolour.
Obviously I can see that some of the orandas are more brown and black in coloration, and the other 2 are more orange. Is there any reason why you think this is, or possibly how they will develop in the future?
As I said, I'm really not sure with these. Because of the parent, the female was black, this darker area could actually remain black. It's hard to tell. They're also very close to what would be seen as a natural colour of a wild fish. Time will tell whether they're going to change or not.
So now we've seen a few of the orandas, we're going to get some of the ranchu in the bowl. So first up we've got one of his ranchu. I think this is possibly his top fish out of the spawning. And you'll also notice as these come into the bowl, there's a nice variation in size, and it's quite interesting to see how some of the fish grow at slightly different rates. Obviously if the water is warmer and you can feed a lot more, do more water changes, you can bring the fish on much more quickly, whereas if the water is colder, they may not progress as well. Maybe John will tell me I'm speaking complete rubbish, but that's the general gist of it, I would assume. And you can also see there's a nice different colour variation, different patterns going on. Although these fish have got quite a long way to go in development wise, I'm sure John will give us a little bit more information about that.
These are a cross between 2 calico ranchu, the female being the one that's maybe swimming into view in a moment. There she goes. So the body shape of the female is very good. The downside of these fellas has been there's been a lot of joined tails, and I've said that I'm not overly worried, but trying to get a breeding line I'm looking more at the overall body shape, and a couple of them are quite nice. This one here, this one is quite a nice shape. It's going to have a good body shape there, a little bit flat on the back, but that will fatten out. So I have high hopes that that's going to be a good breeding fish for the future. All of them, as I say, it's a new bloodline, so I'm starting from scratch.
And also, John, how often are you feeding these, and maybe how often are you doing your water changes on this tank with these fish?
They are fed at least 3 times a day, and the water change is every couple of days. I do quite a large water change.
So we're going to get these guys back into the tank and then we'll wrap up the video. So I'd like to thank John for doing both of those episodes with us. It was really nice to have a close-up look at the fish and look at the qualities that he looks for, and also to have a little look around his fry room. We're actually going to be coming back to John's in around 3 months, and we're going to do another episode on his pond and how he keeps his pond as well. So if you want to see that one, make sure you subscribe. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I believe next weekend or next week we're going to be doing episode 4 of Tank Tours, where we're going to be going back to see Alex in Godalming, and we're going to look at his brand new pond that he's built. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you all for watching. Remember to keep those water changes up, and happy fish keeping.